I first moved into a boarding house in 2010. I was there for about 3 or 4 months. In some ways it was positive, in some ways it wasn't. We had some people, I'm gay, and we had some people, I've always been open about that. I always think that openness is the best policy until I experienced what I experienced in my boarding house. People generally were a little bit taken aback, but then it seemed to die down and they didn't care. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, eventually they started making very comments that I can't say on tape, you know, very offensive, nasty things. And then it got to the point where I was frightened there was going to be physical violence. And basically what happened was one of the tenants pressured the landlord to get me out. And I did that, I left, but on the understanding that I would get my bond and excess rent back, which he then later reneged on. We had to go through tribunal and RTA and all that. He made a bit of a scene there, but we did win, and I got my money back. And one thing I have learned is that with boarding houses, you have to be careful what you say and who you say it to. Where I'm living at the moment, I've been there for 8 months. I have said nothing about my sexuality because I know that if I did, it would take about 2 days and I'd be asked to leave. You have to be careful who you have there. I suppose I like the boarding house where I am now, and I like the people, but to safeguard that, I have to be careful, very careful what I do and what I say. It's difficult to get up in the night and cook if you're hungry, so you've got to keep things in the fridge. I recently bought a microwave because I got sick of the communal kitchen, and for the first few months I was there before the microwave, I had to go into the kitchen every time I wanted to cook, which is right around the other side of the house. So if you get hungry at 2 in the morning, you want a carrot, you know. It was nerve-wracking. As I said, the landlord wanted me out, and I said I would leave if I got the bond and the excess rent back. And he gave me the bond in cash. He refused to give me the rent, and he actually took me to court. I didn't take him. He took me to court, and I won that. And the help I had with that was through TAS, and we had to write up documents and figure out answers to questions and all that stuff, but it was stressful. It was very stressful going through the tribunal, but I was happy with the result, very happy with the result. Be careful what you say and who you say it to, and make sure you keep your door locked. Just into a walk. It's basically just look after your property and be very careful what you say. And also be prepared to hear neighbours frequently. Even though it's quiet, you can hear any music or TV, you can hear it through the boarding house. And finally, comfortable with, because a lot of boarding houses aren't that nice. I've had a look at a few and they're horrible. You know, room like a railway really. But the one on here, the room is very nice. Disadvantage of the room is there's no running water in there. So if you want water, you freeze, you've got to go all the way around the inside of the house, or you've got to go up and bring them back. And of course, you know, there's no toilet in your room, so it's pouring with rain and you want to go breathe and get wet. I was provided with tables, like little benches with cupboards underneath. Now these are interesting benches. They're probably 70 or 80 years old. all crafted out of old hardwood. It's beautiful. So I didn't have to really get much furniture. The bed was provided, the mattress was provided. All the linen you had to bring yourself. There's a beautiful old cupboard in there. So I didn't really have to get much furniture. Didn't really have to get much at all. They even provided me with 3 chairs, so that was good. Thicker walls, running water, toilet in the room, but that's a flat on the boarding house, isn't it? So, yeah. The one I got a free fridge with my one, so that was good. Some of the people don't have fridges unless they buy them, but my room already had a fridge in there, a really big fridge, so I was lucky with that. Because fridges are quite expensive, so. I would like running water in my room, but that's not going to ever happen, so yeah. So the good thing about being in a boarding house is significantly cheaper than hiring a flat. So in a flat you might get more privacy, and you might get a toilet and a shower and whatever that, but you pay for it. You pay a lot extra for that kind of thing. So hotels are great. If you do have a problem with your tenancy, just give them a call, because they do help you out a lot. They do provide a lot of information and emotional support as well. So, yeah.
I'll be coming on 2 years in February next month. In the traditional sense of a boarding house, but I was with Pindari for a couple of months at the time of my breakdown in my marriage, and I contracted MS around the same time, so it's sort of like I was already at bottom, and I sort of went below bottom, and it got to a point where, you know, I wasn't even in a position to go private rental or anything like that, and I found myself in my car for 6 weeks until I thought, well, this is no good. You know, as far as I had to have injections, and I had no fridge, things like that. So just from a practical sense, in a health scenario, at least I had enough common sense to realise I needed to do something about that. So obviously I went to Centrelink, and they gave me a list of organisations, and Pindari was one of them, which I was from the Gold Coast, so it was the only closest thing, which was in Brisbane, so I had to move away, which was no big drama, but I still would have rather stayed close to where, at that time, I still had contact with my son, but since then I haven't. Look, from all counts and other people I've spoken to, it's not the worst of the worst, but it's not the best of the worst either. So, you know, it's a roof over my head. It's just it's 3 stories up, and that makes it difficult having to go up the stairs and stuff. But I'm trying to do my best to work around that and better my position, but it takes time, I guess, and patience. And I guess that's one thing, you don't run out of time, but patience tends to have a limit, I guess. Occasionally you feel, why me? You know, the world's against me. It's just, but it's not. It's just how you feel. If I had an issue, I probably wouldn't want to have to raise it with them, put it that way. That's all I can say. All right, there's only a couple of toilets there, and it's quite filthy. Put it this way, every time I go to the toilet, I take my bottle of Pino Clean with me. But for majority, the purpose is survival and at least having a roof over their head. So when you see where half of these people have slept the day before, then anything is a positive for them. Exactly for what they are, the last resort. Okay, the last resort. Simple as that. You know, and I'm not saying that you can please everyone at the same time or as much as one or the other, but I think there's a lack of understanding a specific individual's problem. You get all thrown in together, and that's the sad part. Well, for starters, it would be 1 floor, especially if it's from people with disabilities for movement situations. More than 1 stair is just not capable of taking in people who are quite developed in their symptoms to being in a wheelchair. They need ramp access, and you can't put a ramp 2 stories up. It's just inconceivable, let alone practical. I wouldn't need to show any much more than 5 foot in the front door. You should have a, I mean, just the smell, you can't avoid it, you know. But for me, I just try and exist, and boarding house at least is the roof over my head, but it's a struggle every day.